Mwasibire muta, mwasibye mutya, amahoro, agandi, Bible, habari gani, muraho, sangonini, kopango, odeo. For those of you who are wondering what that was, these are some of the various local greetings found in East Africa's diverse languages. Welcome to SheCentre, the female podcast, where I dive into the issues and experiences that affect women everywhere. I am your host, Resti Kansime, and I am passionate about creating a safe space for women to share their stories and triumphs. I want to thank you for tuning into my podcast, and I would love for you to join our community and stay connected with us beyond this episode. You can find us on Instagram at _SheCentre_podcast and follow us on Facebook at the SheCentre podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and hit that follow and like button on our social media to be part of the conversation. Welcome back to SheCentre, the female podcast. I am thrilled to have you join me for yet another insightful episode where we delve into the remarkable journeys of different women in East Africa and the rest of the world. My guest today is Faith Kisa. She is an identical twin to one of my previous guests, that is Hope Cayenne. I'm sure you will love to hear a different perspective from an identical twin. Faith is a multi-talented concept artist. She's an entrepreneur. She is an author, cartoonist, and a mental health activist. She is also an entrepreneur. For those of you out there who are interested in starting out businesses and everything related with startups, you are going to love this episode because Faith tells it all. Whatever she has done, how she has navigated everything, we talk about it, and this is going to be one of those episodes that you learn so much from. So pick up your pen because she's dropping some very, very powerful information in here. Faith's story is one of resilience, determination, and unwavering passion for entrepreneurship. Growing up as an identical twin surrounded by hardworking women, Faith was instilled with a love of creativity at a young age. Despite facing challenges such as being compared to her twin sister and struggling to make friends as an introvert, Faith didn't let any obstacle dim her spark. Instead, she used her experience to fuel her drive and embark on a transformative journey of self-discovery. I loved this conversation. In this episode, Faith opens up about her entrepreneurial endeavors, from her co-founding a photography studio with her sister, overcoming mental health challenges, and launching multiple successful ventures. Through her candid storytelling, Faith shares valuable insights into navigating the male-dominated fields of animation and gaming. I didn't know that these were male-dominated, but well, we learned that today. Overcoming biases and advocating for greater opportunities for women in entrepreneurship. So join us as we delve into Faith Kisa's journey from overcoming adversity to empowering others to pursue their dreams. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and uplifted by Faith's remarkable resilience and unwavering determination to make a difference in the world. Enjoy. Hi, Faith. How are you doing?
Hi, Resti. I'm okay. How are you?
I'm so excited. I'm good. I'm so excited because I get to have two perspectives from two identical twins. This calls for a case study.
I know, right?
I plan to do a PhD study like in the future because this has been like a research project for me. And at first I was like, I should start with a project. Like I should do like a PhD first and then figure out what to do about like a female platform. But then someone told me, you can always start already and then decide because I don't know what kind of topic exactly I want to focus on. So I was like, you know what? By the time I do start my PhD study, I won't even need to interview people. I have in-depth interviews with people. And now I actually have two people who are identical. Like this calls for like I'm so excited to hear your perspective on your life because I already listened to Hope, and I think anyone who will be listening to this will be like, "Isn't this the same person they interviewed the other time?"
That happens.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yes, thank you so much for making the time, and
Mm,
happy belated birthday once again.
thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
Rosie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to start out by, first of all, yeah, I've thanked you, and I would like to ask you to share. We've heard from Hope a very
Mm.
interesting take on her life, on you guys'
Yeah.
lives. I would like
Nice.
to hear from you to find
Mm.
out, like I told you, I'm exploring the question, what happened to you?
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a great way to get to know someone and the things that matter to them or how they see the world. So,
Mm.
what happened to you helps me to not only inspire other people out there who are going through what you might have gone through or what you're going through, but it also helps me to understand what my platform requires, because just like you, I'm also like, I know we'll talk about this later, like your whole platform that you're starting with mental health and stuff like
Mm.
that. I'm
Mm.
interested in stuff like this, and I feel like
Ah.
many people usually start out companies, like I'm starting a female platform, but I don't know what women want, you know. So for me, when I started
Mm.
out, I was like, yeah, I think women need this. I started with myself. I was like, I need this. I need this. This is what would be
Mm.
good. But then
Mm.
when you speak to other people, they'll be like, I don't understand that part of your project. So it's good for
Yeah.
you to always first speak to people so that by the time the
Mm.
platform starts, I have enough data at least to prove that yes, I'm starting this platform because I've spoken to this number of women and these are their issues and this is what I'm
Mm.
trying to solve. So I like to ask the question, can you
Yes.
please share about your childhood and how you think it might have impacted the person that you are right now and how you see the world?
Okay. So I think from the time I was really young, I was such a creative person, and my parents always encouraged it. They'd be like, "Oh, Faith," my parents and my aunties, they'd be like, we had this one particular auntie, she's now passed. She'd be like, I want you to write for me stories and illustrate. So I would illustrate and stuff like that. Then I remember when I was really young, as in P1, and the teacher would be like, everyone, you come and see, this is how you draw. I like how I started drawing and I
You're
never
the example.
understood. Yes, and I was like, okay, I thought it was a natural thing. Like, why is everyone struggling to draw? It's so easy. So from that time I was young, I knew that I was very creative. Yeah, and my parents
Wow.
nurtured that, and all the schools I've been to have nurtured that creativity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, from the time as young, would really engage in a lot of creative things, story writing, drawing. What else did we do? We did a lot of. We also used to do a lot of plays. Like, would come up with plays based off obviously the classics, like the Three Little Pigs, and I would design the costumes at that young age. At 10, I could already. I remember my mom was. She did computer science, yeah. So she always had like the computer at home, and by 10 years old, I'd figured out how to animate using Microsoft and PowerPoint, which are not
Wow.
animation softwares. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, growing up with my parents, really, we did music class, we did instruments. So yeah, we did a lot of creative, and my parents was so into those creative schools. So those are the type of schools, yeah. And
Yeah.
even
That they
when we
sent you
come
to.
back home, yes, it was the same thing, yeah. So I think it really shaped how, I turned out. Like, it had such great influence, yeah, on my
Yeah.
life. Mm.
That's really cool to know that. Okay, can you tell us a little bit about like your life apart from the okay, I do understand that you're creative and we'll
Yeah.
get into that later so you can share
Okay.
about your companies and stuff.
Yeah.
Could you share like a little bit about more of your life growing up, like your
Yeah.
social life, your personal life,
Okay.
how your family and your relationships with people and everything
Mm.
that has happened up to now has led to that
Mm.
start, because at least it's good that you've told us from the beginning you are creative and I'm guessing
Mm.
everyone would like to know how has a person, because not there's so many people who are creative. I know the internet
Yeah.
right now is kind of making it easy for people to show their creativity. Like you can be like, this person is good because they are posting stuff online, and you can like the whole world can access it. But I know when we were growing up, we didn't have social media, we didn't have all this stuff. So
Yeah. Oh my
yeah,
God.
so
Yes.
it has to be I'm sure there's someone who probably was growing up back in the day, and they're like, hey, how has Faith gotten to the point of starting a company for creatives? I also was creative, I'm also good, but I'm just posting on social media and people are not even recognizing. So take us on that journey.
Yes. So, yeah, what can I say? Most of my life, to be honest, like growing up, I know it sounds like I'm only talking about like the work and talent nurturing, but to be honest, that was most of my childhood. Yeah, like my parents were like, "Oh, you need to be creative," and I mean in every way. Like we learned how to cook like so many cuisines. I can cook up to 15 cuisines. Then
Wow,
international cuisines, yes, and then
that's cool.
I started cooking at 8 years old. In our school, it was a co-curriculum. Yeah. So,
What did
and
you
my
go to
parents
school?
were in some neighborhood school because they grew up in Naguru, and there's a neighborhood school called Hill Preparatory. I don't know if you've heard of it. Yeah.
No, I'm not sure.
So, okay, that's where it was, and there was a lot of creativity, Yeah. So, cooking, we had career fairs, science fairs, we had tailoring, we had like everything basically, a co curriculum that develops people's talent. So, then growing up at home, we grew up as sisters. So, my parents just, they brought up. We were like really close. We grew up like like a tight knit family. We used to do a lot of things together. Holidays. My parents were those parents who just believe that they should expose us since we're girls, so we don't get, impressed by people who can take
Just
advantage of us.
anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, my my upbringing was yeah, it really influenced how I've become. My mom would always tell us, I remember, she'd buy for us like video games, and because we're a little bit more girly, we had girly video games like Barbie. I remember our friends used to be annoyed. Shrek, why are you playing Shrek and Barbie on a video game instead of FIFA? Like our friends were
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that. We watched a lot of like cartoons. Like basically, yeah, went on holidays together as family. We do everything together. You get so yeah. That
And for
whole
and okay, so you had, because also Hope shared that you grew up from a really big family and you always had that whole, togetherness and everything.
yeah,
But I'd like
yeah.
to know from your perspective, how was it growing up as an identical twin?
Ah, growing up as an identical twin, a lot of twins will tell you is so difficult. You're constantly being compared. Yeah. And like
Yeah.
people don't understand that it's kind of the same unfairness, that exists when you compare two single sisters, like two sisters who are not twins. It's the same impact because we are two different individuals. So I would say
Yeah.
from the outside perspective, it was always super difficult. I feel like for me it was a very tough. But on the bright side, I always had like a friend. Even when you go to new places, you already have
Yeah.
a friend. You get what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. So
Yeah.
even when we'd go to new schools, we'd go for these book camps. Those camps growing up, Christian
Yeah.
camp, leadership camps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even those teenage ones with like inter-school camps, like when you're younger, like at
Yeah.
primo. So you'd always be
Yeah.
there, and you already have like a friend. You get so it was not lonely, yeah. But on the ups and the downside, like many twins will tell you, we're often compared, and it creates tension, and it creates negativity between the twins relationship first of all, but at the same time it also impacts your esteem as a person. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the other side, that the obvious good things, because I remember my sisters, for them, the ones who are not twins, they would have to like make friends or have but first would always be like, people would even be
We
like,
have
but
each
you guys
other.
yeah, people would be like, why are you always together? You need to stay separately. You get what I mean? Go,
Yeah.
go. Now, so we try to be more individual. Like, we go for separate things. Like, yeah. Yeah, we're a bit more
That's
individual, but I think we kind of also learned that, yeah, when I left home and wait, she left home first actually because she went to live on her own. So when she left home, we kind of learned to be individuals because now you don't, we're working
yeah.
together because our first company was together, the first company we ever did. I don't know if she told you.
No, which one is it? The
Kissien.
protection?
No,
Kisian, what
Kissien.
was it about?
It was a digital media company, but we also did a lot
Ah,
of branding and events. And
she
yeah,
didn't actually mention this. That's interesting.
it was a very bad experience because one of our third partners really messed us up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
Okay,
I
that's
think,
interesting.
yeah, we really had built a huge brand. Yeah. So it was our first company together. So we're always working together. We had the same office, you know, and yeah, like we'd always drive together because obviously now you're in the same office. You go to work
Yeah.
together. We come home, we are together. But when she left, and to start like now for Textard, yeah? And she left to start Protextad and then also left to, when Protextad was starting, she also left and went out of home. So from then on, I realized, oh my God, because me, I used to be, I'm an introvert, by the way. Like, I'm trying my best now to get out a bit more. But all my friends were like her friends. Like I didn't know how to make friends. You get, I was so closed off and yeah. So I started learning how to also get out, meet people. Yeah, like it helped her getting out and getting like her own company and things like that. It also helped me. Yeah, it
Yeah,
helped
to
me.
pull you out of your of yourself,
Yes,
yeah?
yes. I
That's
started
cool.
meeting
That's really nice.
people. I also started my own company. And then in 2019, I got funding from Tony Lemelo Foundation for my company, Ponji Educare. And then, for the first time, because everything we used to do together, I traveled alone without her. You get?
How was that?
It was interesting. I had to learn how to make friends. That was my
Does it
journey of
help
meeting
you to
people.
find yourself, like to be like, oh my
Yes.
God, yeah. That's quite
Yes,
interesting. Yeah.
yes, it does. So it helped, yeah. Now, of course, again, we're more uh, in each other's spaces, but at the same time, we're more independent because we had those individual experiences, yeah?
How did you manage to
Yeah,
overcome this kind of challenges where people were comparing it to each other? Because I remember Hope was sharing that people were always like, yeah, this is the bad twin, this is the good twin.
yeah, yeah.
How did you overcome such challenges?
How did I overcome it? I think for a long time it impacted my self esteem because I was not the loud one, as always the quiet one, as reserved. So obviously I got the negative brunt of the comments. Yeah. Some people thought maybe I'm proud just because I was quiet. As people who are reserved, we get a lot of judgment. People might think you're proud, yet you're just,
You're
you don't know
arrogant,
how
yeah.
to, yes, you just don't know how to relate
You
with
just don't
people.
yeah, true.
And it needs like a whole, journey, and like investment to get out of your shell and become that person who's more
Yeah.
outgoing, who's more social. Yeah, so it impacted me so badly, but I think I started doing a lot of healing in when did my first healing start? My first healing started like in 2019 because 2019 is when I think where I reached the first peak. Let me not say the peak of my career. It was like the first, okay, my first big win. I got like a grant funding from the biggest Pan African. I think you've heard of Tony Lemele Foundation. It's the
No,
biggest
not
Pan.
really.
Oh, it's the biggest Pan African funding vehicle. Yeah, on the continent. Yeah, and they used to fund like 5,000 people. It has ended because it was for 10 years from 2014 to this year. This year was the last cohort. Yeah, but it really made me get out and start appreciating myself. And that's when I started saying, you know what? No, but I'm my own person. I'm not defined because people think I should be, the more shrunk version of Hope or anything. So that's when I started like working on myself. But I think my most work that elevated me was the one I did last year. I feel like I dedicated a whole year of holistic healing, yeah, spiritual, emotional,
Yeah.
mental,
Yeah.
physical, it was all round. I feel like it has really made me, overcome all that, because it's traumatic, by the way, when people always say
It
you're
is.
this, you're
It
that.
is.
Yeah, and people don't understand. Yeah, I actually had a quarrel
That's
with
very
two
true.
of my friends for that type of conversation. And one of them had kind of stopped being my friend, but I saw on my birthday, she was like, "Oh, happy birthday," and she posted me. So I guess we are friends again. Yeah, but I had to tell her, oh, because I'm tired of people
Yeah.
talking like that to me. You get what I mean?
Yes, yes,
It's
yes,
not
yes.
healthy, because I ask them, imagine if they compared you with your sister, because at the end of the day, we might be twins, but we are individual people. We don't have
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
the same. You get it? It's okay for her to be social. It's okay for me to be a bit reserved, though I'm noticing also the good things about being more social. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
also trying to work on that. I've really, really tried since 2019, since 2021. I really, started working on my social. Yeah, so I feel like right now I'm better at like socializing. Every time I go for these accelerators, because I, uh, I think since like 20, this is the year, last year was the year when I strongly was depressed. I had like a terrible depression, and I didn't do anything. But towards the end of the year, I remember my mom used to tell me all the time, my mom and dad used to tell me, "Faith, you're brilliant. Faith, when you're depressed, you forget all the good things about yourself."
Yeah,
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 it was low
true.
functioning depression. I'd been dealing with so much. I had like an accident in 2017 that, I got like nerve damage that escalated and advanced into fibromyalgia. And
Wow.
fibromyalgia is like a nerve disorder where you're constantly in pain. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, nerve damage. So I was just depressed, and other traumatic stuff happened. So I really was really doing badly. But then like towards the end of the year, like my mom and dad never stopped telling me that, and my friends, people like who knew me, they'd be like, "Faith, you were brilliant. How many people do you know who entered for that Tony LML? I know so many people, even like relatives who entered and failed, even my own friends who failed, but like I
Yeah.
got through. It's a
Wow.
very competitive one.
How
Yeah.
many people entered in total? How many people did they
Uh,
like did they take in?
about 250,000 people enter, and only 5,000 are
Wow.
picked. Yeah. So
Wow.
it's very competitive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the people who I know applied every single year. Me, I applied once and I got through.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
really
they were,
cool. Yeah.
so they were reminding me. They were like, "Faith, you did this, you did." Then my mom used to tell me, because low functioning depression. I don't know if you know about it, but you're literally just there, like you're literally low function. You sit in
And it's
your
hard for a
desk.
creative, yeah? It must be hard for a
Yeah.
creative. Because
Yes, it's
it's
even.
easy for you to be an employee, to go to work and just show up and get paid. But if your life depends on being creative and you're at that moment, like you've shut down, then I think it can really affect your life in a really, really like huge
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
It did, yeah.
That's,
So like when I was going through that, I realized, all those things that my parents kept telling me, and my mom used to tell me every morning when I couldn't do anything, I would wake up at 5 a.m. at a point and just stay in bed until like
wow.
2 p.m. and just come, and I couldn't do anything. Then my mom, so I got like a psychiatrist, I got like a psychologist, and then like a spiritual counselor as well. And my friend from high school, Priscilla, she took me to like Fanero, and we were always like, spiritual, you know. Yeah, and
Yeah.
my mom started telling me, write down everything that you like. Faith, you are so passionate. You are this creative person. So that's how I started writing down everything that I loved. And before I knew it, it literally evolved into like, three strong companies. That's how I
Wow.
launched Yobu Wellness. And because Ponji Educare was my original one with children's content and stuff like that. So I got like a product that we can do. Then I got like this big job offer from like a very big brand that, we grew up watching, but apparently I'm not allowed to talk about it. I asked. So
Yeah.
yeah, I can't talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got into Rutico. It was a wellness camp for nutrition, physical wellness, climate
Wow.
change, organic. Yeah,
Is this in
it was,
Uganda?
yes, it was also very competitive. 100,000 people applied, and they only took 100 of us.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's when I was like, you know what? Yes, and remember I'd been writing all the things I love, and I really love like wellness. I like since I was young as a sporty person, I like self care. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I that's how I formed this company, by writing down all these things. There was a first yoga wellness just used to be self-care. You get it? Then I wrote down everything under self-care. then
That's what I did. That's amazing. That's what I did for SheCentre. It's so amazing. I would
wow.
like us. I would like us to talk about this because I also shared in my first episode. I'm not really that good with like sharing my story unless someone is, like when someone is asking you questions, you can know what to say.
Yes.
But for me, I tried recording my life story and I recorded like over and over again, like 2 times, 3 hours. And I'm like, I'm not even reached, like, I've not even gone past secondary school. So until I got to a point where I was like, you know what? Just, it was so stressful. I just prayed to God. I was like, God, I just told people my episode is coming out 1st September, but I have no episode because I cannot come up with an episode. And then I was sleeping. I just prayed and I just woke up in the morning, like at 6 or 5 in the morning, and something told me, just write down everything that you want to say and categorize it, like structure it and read it out. You don't have to like remember it, just read it out. And
Hey.
so yes, I literally, my episode was just me reading reading out
Oh,
stuff that I'd written about
wow.
myself. But in that sharing, the point of SheCentre and the point of the podcast is
Yeah.
mostly to show people that, when you're going through something really bad, something beautiful comes out of it. It's so much easy to explain it from a Christian perspective, and that's where I
Very
got it
true.
from. Yeah, but in many cases, for so many people, even Christians, when they're going through something, I'm sure you are like those, when you're like going through and someone says something good will come out of it, you're like, shut up, just
Yeah,
please,
I
just let me go.
know.
You don't see it, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
quite a sensitive time when someone is
Yeah.
going through something, for you to make them see how you
Oh
see
my
them. I
God.
had a pastor once say,
Yeah.
I once had a pastor say, someone told him, if
Yeah.
only you could see yourself the way I see you, then
Mm.
you would be so easy on yourself. Because in many cases, when we're
Wow.
going through a mental health challenge or something, the people around you are like, dude, you're like the coolest person. You're so
Yeah.
creative. For you in that moment,
Yeah.
you're just saying,
You don't
I am the
see it.
worst. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to die. I should just end. This world means nothing.
Oh my
So
God. Yes.
yeah, in 2020, I wouldn't say I went through a depression, because I just went through a phase in 2020 at the beginning of lockdown, where I was literally just seated there. Yeah. And in that process, I started to feel all the things, like everything was shut down, the world, the what. And normally
Yes.
you
Yes.
always have internet and social media. So this particular
Yeah.
week, my phone battery died. I just woke up and my phone battery died. It's like God wanted me to be alone with nothing. The only thing
Wow.
I had to send my phone to get fixed. And during that week, I had nothing to communicate with, no family members. When you have WhatsApp on the laptop, you need your phone to connect it. At that moment, Faith, I just sat down and said, like, all these bad things that have happened to me throughout my life just came. And I remember kneeling down and saying, God, why me? Why? I could have gone into a depression because I was alone. I was far away from family or anyone I knew. It was
What was
lockdown
your
outside.
husband?
We weren't yet married, so he was living also in a different city. He was studying somewhere else. And I was like, everything was so much. I was sick at that moment. I had some stomach pains. And I remember, for me, it came from a spiritual side. Like, I just decided to just watch someone's. And I remember in one sermon, the pastor was like, they were talking about that Habakkuk thing where you like get your vision and write it down or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, and then they were also talking about the story of Joseph and how he went through everything he went through, and at the end he told his brothers, no, you guys don't even need to apologize. You sold me into slavery, but trust me,
Yeah.
it was God all along who had planned for my life to go the way. Like, you were just a pawn in this story. And when I looked at it in that way, I remember feeling like something was telling me, pick up your pen and start writing. Start writing anything bad that has ever happened to you. So I get a book. I actually have the book. I don't know what it is. It's called The Vision. It's called My Vision Book. It's here.
Ah.
It was like part of my whatever. So I started writing. Like, I just started writing things like, yes, this and this. So I wasn't writing it like I'm going through it. I was just writing, what do women go through, or what do people go through? I categorized stuff into mental health, into beauty, and it then later on turned into, if you see here, Like it later on turned into like just me categorizing, okay, the body. What does a body need? Eyes,
Yeah.
body, this. And I'm then like
Wow.
through that, I remember I started a skincare company with my sister. We started selling skincare with
Wow.
a friend,
Wow.
but it didn't really do that well. But it's because I had done research. It's like, okay, people need this during COVID. What do they need? But through that, I remember I started sharing this idea with so many people. I'm like, hey, you guys, we should start this company. I didn't even know what the whole thing was, but I just knew it was something. And people were like, no, that's like, we don't get that. And it just was always pushed on the side. I shared it with my best friends. I shared it with my sister, with my friends, and no one was getting the point. But I felt in me there was something that was being birthed. I just couldn't explain it. And when
Wow.
you shared that you had to go through something for you to write down what you're going through, I think it's good for people out there to know that
Yeah,
every
yeah.
experience is a lesson.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
classroom. You're literally in class
It
because
is.
out of your pain, you're the only person who is going to be able to help someone else who's going through it. Because it's easy for you to come out and say, guys, I was depressed. That's why I started this
Mm.
company for
Yeah,
wellness and
yeah,
it's trying to
yeah,
help people
yeah.
like this because
Mm.
I've been there. Rather than
Mm.
someone who just has money and they start a company because, I have an
Mm.
idea. You always choose
Yes.
to listen to the person who went through something. So tell us how that process was, and maybe you can speak a little bit about how your competition for the is it I wrote it down, Tony Elumero or something.
Ah, yes.
Yes, how was that competition for you? Was it so easy? Was it swift? And then you can tell us about your company, the Ponji Educare, what it does,
Okay.
and then you can
Ah,
share about your Ube Wellness. Yeah.
okay. So Tony Elemelu, for me, I had already been through three accelerator programs, but this is what kept happening. No, one of them, two of them were not for. They needed my product. Idea Gist was the first one. It's an international organization, but I didn't get to product market fit. There's something called product market fit in entrepreneurship, where you find a product that actually resonates with the market and they're willing to pay for it. So I failed to reach product market fit at idea stage. I mean at idea gist. So then I went for another one, which was Ugandan. Yeah, at Dot.
What was the first one about? What
Idea
was it?
just
What
was
was
Idea just I entered with Ponji because when we left Kisian studio, which we did with my sister, Kisian is a combination of my name Kisa and Hope's name Cayenne. I don't know if you
yeah.
noticed. Yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't actually noticed. Yeah.
Oh yes, so it is. So when we left that digital, by the way, it's making a comeback with a new name. Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
yes. So when we left Kisien, I entered. We entered some innovation hub. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Innovation Village. It's the biggest
Yeah.
innovation hub. Yes, it's the biggest
In
innovation
Kampala.
hub
In
brand.
Kampala. Yeah,
Generally,
it
no,
used.
no, no, not only Kampala in Uganda because they're regional.
No. Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
I was saying like Uganda, because I
Yes, yes,
remember by
yes.
the time I left Uganda, that was 2017 at the beginning. I was working in this video library.
Yeah.
And it was in Ntinda, and these guys were in that mall. I used to go up to the innovation lab. It's in some mall in
Ah.
Ntinda. I don't know if they're still
Yes,
there.
yes.
They had
Ntinda
like a whole
complex.
floor. Yes.
Yeah. Now they
I
even have
used
like
to.
a whole building.
Where is the main office now?
It's still in Tinder.
Ah, okay, that's really cool. Because
They
when I
bought
left, I
more
think it was
buildings.
starting out.
Yes,
Wow, that's
yeah, they
cool.
bought all the blocks. Now the whole mall is like Innovation Village.
Really? That's
Yes,
super cool.
yes.
Wow.
So
So what were you doing at Innovation Village?
so I went because I realized that I wanted to do something that would solve a bigger problem. I realized that me doing branding and marketing, maybe I wasn't solving. I've always had this dream to have like a $1 billion company, like at least five of them. Yeah. So I just looked at the maths and I'm like, the way we're going with Kisian Studio, it's not going to reach $1 billion. You get it?
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to learn how to build a company. And then I heard of Innovation Hub. Actually, one of our clients told us about Innovation Village. So I went to
Wow.
Innovation Village, yeah, and we started interacting with people. They started teaching us how to do business model canvas, the whole thing of entrepreneurship.
Do you
And
pay for
that's how.
this? Because there might be someone out there listening who might want to
Yes,
know.
yes, 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 yes. We did pay, but it comes with the rent that you pay because sitting space I think is $100.
Per
Yeah.
month?
Yes, per month per person. Yeah, so each one of us was paying $100, me and my sister Hope. Yeah, so they teach you how to do like to build like a startup basically. Yeah.
So in this $100, you get like the training, or you
Yes,
pay extra. That's
exactly.
cool.
Yes.
That's
So
cool.
no, you don't pay extra. Yeah. So
That's
then they
super cool.
yes, they connect you to opportunities of like, oh, you should enter for this opportunity. They also told us to start watching some very popular, I think it's the biggest TV show for entrepreneurs. It's called Shark Tank. I'm sure you've heard of Shark
Yeah, I've
Tank.
heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they told us about Shark Tank, basically like prepping you and giving you resources to become an entrepreneur and build, yeah. Yeah, so that's when I entered into IdeaGist. IdeaGist is international; it's an American brand, and basically, I went. It was teaching us how to go from idea to launch. Yeah, I failed to reach. I failed to reach my product market fit. Then afterwards, I entered for another one called Dot. Dot was by the UN, but it was Ugandan focused. So were also so many people who applied. I think they said 50,000, and they only picked 20. And I made it to top 10, but only the top 6 were given money. Yeah. The
Yeah.
rest of us were given phones. Yeah. So yeah, I'm like, okay, I failed to also reach like scale and product market fit. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because it was a journey to get to the Tony Elemelu. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So then I entered for Tony Elemelu, and finally
Did you
they
also hear
insist.
about them from the Innovation Village, or this is your like your own research or
No, it
something?
was my cousin. My cousin is, I don't know if you've heard of Yali. It's a leadership program. It's also really big. It's international. So my cousin told me about Yali. He was like, "Oh my God!" I mean, she told me both about Yali and Tony Elemelu. I applied for Yali. I didn't get through, but Tony Elemelu I got through immediately. Yeah. And so when I went to Tony Elemelu, because they give a pre-seed grant, it's not a lot of money. It's $5,000. So I realized that it wasn't enough for me to launch my program that I wanted to do. And also, to be fair, I did not understand how to build something called an MVP, which is a minimum viable product.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
didn't yet know
I
because
learned that recently.
so I
I
didn't
was
know
talking
how
to a
to.
guy who is going to build my website, and he's like, "Yeah, you need to pay us
Ah,
the first payment we're doing." I'm like, "What's
yeah, yeah,
MVP? Like most wanted
yes,
player or what?"
yes. So they
Yeah.
didn't teach us that. It was very one size fits all. You get, so unfortunately, the truth is one size fits all does not work. You get, you'll get the money, you'll get the basics of to launch a product, and this is it. I'm coming to a point. That's why I've mentioned that. So yes, I did get the money for Tony Lemelu, but because I failed to learn how to do product market fit, right? I did a few products, they didn't work out. I did storybooks. I realized we have a bad reading culture, but also, to be honest, the people who I was speaking to did not understand my vision for what I was trying to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But fortunately, an American company launched it like 2 years ago. Now I have a reference for what I'm trying to build. Yeah. And it has
Yeah.
taken me, to be honest, it has taken me a while to understand how to build an MVP. And guess what made me, okay, so let me continue the story. So 2022 was when the money came in, and then what happens? Boom, lockdown. I couldn't do anything with the money because I won
Yeah.
it in 2019, but it only came in 2022. Then everything
Yeah.
shut down. Remember, I was dealing with chronic pain, depression, so I didn't work for like I think for so many years. Then 2022 was when I really hit rock bottom. 2023, I went through a lot. Like I told you, I was trying to heal. So the money, meanwhile, something told me, actually, it's my mom. She's a financial strategist and what. So she told me, the money that you got with Tony Lemele, why don't you put it in a bond? You get, eh? And other people misuse their money because they didn't know how to start. But for me, I put that money in a bond. Yes. So now when I was going through my depression, that's how I discovered how to do I discovered how to write down my plans like my mom told me. I realized how to make it a company. And then that's when I started again applying for things because I talked to a few people and I started telling them, oh, I'm trying to build this startup, you know. It's a self-care startup because for then I didn't understand how to build Ponji Educare, so I'd put
Yeah,
it on.
yeah.
Of course, I was getting these other jobs, these branding jobs, doing for people illustration, doing for people asset design for their games. But like I told you, you can get money through doing those things. My career
Yeah,
continued, but
yeah.
it won't build your $1 billion
Satisfied.
company.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it
If you
will.
have a vision, you're like keep dying to get
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
So I was doing these jobs. I was doing game development. I was doing animation jobs. I was doing
Yeah.
illustration. I actually co-authored 2 books with a very acclaimed and celebrated American author called Catherine Kurta as well. Then I also did games for some really big game company. I did for them assets for their environment in
So you're doing most of this work like
for
internationally, or
others.
are you for like your are your clients international mostly, or are
Yes,
you
most
only
of
doing? Oh,
them.
okay, that's
Most of them
cool.
were international. Actually, that's how I made a lot of my money during. Yes, I was making a lot of money during lockdown because my partner at the time had like a very good network. So we got like a lot of international jobs. That's on my own because of the work that I was doing. I wasn't getting paid for my product. Like I was telling you, my books were not selling well, but people loved my design so much that they were hiring me to design for them for their
Ah,
games,
so something good came
for
out
their
of the.
animation,
Yeah,
yes, for
cool,
their
cool.
books as well. Yeah, like I told you, some books that I did. I'll share
Yeah,
with you some of these
yeah.
things in inbox. Yeah, so yes, I was getting like money, but I wasn't fulfilled. So yeah, so like I was telling you, I was writing. So one day I came up with a name finally, because I was like, because my mom used to say, it's you, healing starts with you. It's you as a person. You're the one who makes your life. You're the one, because she has tough love. She really spoils us also, but she also has
Yeah,
tough love. Yeah,
that's
actually,
cool.
people who know us know we are such mommy's girls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So she was like, Faith, you're the one who makes your own health. You're the one who makes your own. Of course, sometimes she'd be like, my baby this, but she was like, tough, tough love. I was like, wait, I came up with a name of Yubu Wellness as like my self-care brand is called Yubu because in my language, Yubu means to make.
Ah, cool.
Yes,
That's
yes.
super cool.
Yeah, so that's when I really resonated with it, and I started talking to so many people, even my therapists, and they were like, wow, oh my god, Faith, this is something that is so needed. And I started talking to my friends who had gone through very traumatic situations as well, and they were like, oh my god, this is a very needed product. And then I started
Yeah.
daring, I entered for this thing called Rutico, the one I told you, where there's nature, food,
The
nutrition, diet.
wellness, yeah.
Yes, I entered for it. There were like I think like about, did they say 100,000 people or 50? I'm not sure now. Yeah. We applied and the top 100 were taken. Then from top 100, they called us for interviews and I made it to top 40. So when I went,
Cool.
that's when I learned how to build an MVP. That's when I learned how to launch a business. That's when I learned how to do product market fit. That's when I learned. Do you know why? Because for the first time, I entered for an industry specific accelerator. So it was so effective.
Specific. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so-
That makes
and then
sense.
yeah, and it was also project based because even during that, imagine it was a 12-day boot camp, yeah. But I launched me and my teammates. We launched a yoga studio. We launched a spa, and people paid. Like we were actually required to launch businesses during the training.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's super cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yes. So like it taught me, that industry specific tailoring, which is such a lacking. It's a lacking what should I call it? It's a lacking program, right? In the entrepreneurship, curriculum and
Space,
stuff.
yeah.
It's really a missing thing. That's why a lot of people fail because entrepreneurship is not and it can never be one size fits all. It's
Yeah,
industry
true.
specific. So that's
Yeah,
how I
that's true.
learned. Yeah, I learned that when you're doing research for a particular business. So when I came out, I had launched a yoga studio, had launched a spa in just 12 days, in the spa of 12 days. you
So
know.
what do you mean, like, by launching, for people who are listening? Like, you came up with an idea of a spa, and then you sold
Yes.
that idea to someone.
Yes, and people paid,
Wow.
and people came from.
Wow.
I'll post pictures actually. I'll share with you all these things I'm telling you about.
Yeah, yeah, sure. That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how I launched, and I knew that people were willing. People really wanted to pay for yoga. They felt like, oh my god, after a long day, this is what we want. You get what I mean? Then we also like, oh,
I
I'd
just
even
I started doing
forgotten.
yoga last year.
Ah,
I love
it's
it.
really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, then we also
Yeah.
did, I think we also did like a fitness class, yes, and a spa. People paid us, obviously, because it was a closed boot camp for just us wellness entrepreneurs. It was other entrepreneurs paying, but and of course, it was now a competition, and we made it to top 3. Yeah, we made it. Our business collected the top, like out of we were 40 people, like I told you. They put us into 8 teams of they put us into 8 teams of five, yes, 40. Our team came in number 3, the top 3 who collected like the most money, and that money was used to do for us a party. We celebrated. We're like, okay,
That's
now we
super
understand
cool.
what it takes. Yeah, to launch. Yes, and that was, I think that was in August. Yes. So when I
And then
came
when you
back,
came out of that, you had Yobu, like you were like, Yobu, I got you.
yes, I was like, okay, now I know how to do this. And also,
Yeah.
that whole process that I went through, Resty, it literally also taught me in a weird, not in a weird way. Let me say, I started understanding that if I'm to build,
Experience.
yes, I started understanding that if I'm to build Ponji Educare, I have to build it and take courses that are very industry specific. Yeah. Start understanding how do I build an MVP for this, and that, and that. So when I came back from the boot camp, I was looking for a developer. I now knew I didn't make it, like I told you, I didn't make it to the top. They funded the top 24. Yeah. I didn't make it to the top 24 because unfortunately I didn't know that we were supposed to only highlight our experience in the wellness space. If I had known that, I would have put how I also helped. I don't know if Hope told you, but I really help her a lot with for textured as well.
No.
So I had that. I did for her the branding, her logo. I help her with like product
I really love
development.
her logo. I love the
Thank
hair thing.
you. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have actually a lot of experience in the wellness space, but I didn't put it there because I didn't know that it was important. I only put the things where I was like the head of the thing. So obviously I didn't make it. They told me your experience doesn't. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't I put this? So it was also a learning moment. So just because I put my background like that, they say because of how you don't have background in this wellness space, we can't take you. But it taught me a lot. I came back, I knew what to build, I knew where to start. I thought I knew where to start. That's when I started looking for a developer, and somehow while I was looking for a developer, my family friend who we grew up with, we've known each other since we're I think 10 years old. And we almost share birthdays even, like a day before my. He was like, "Oh my God, did you know I'm also a developer?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we started building. That's how we learned. Then of course, like it was a process. We learned because we are 2 months behind. We're supposed to launch in Feb. But we are now 2 months behind. There were technical stuff. We also got a lot of investor interest. We went in front of some investors. They also gave us like really great insights. So we had to come back and iterate. Yeah. So yeah, and
Yeah.
now
And
as we were,
this is in Uganda, or
yes,
were you
these are
doing that?
Ugandan
Yeah.
investors. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so
Yes, these are
cool.
Ugandan investors. So even they called me yesterday and they're like, Faith, what happened? You're supposed to get back to us. But because Yuba Wellness is like 360 wellness, so we're in many industries. We're in tele-wellness, we're in virtual wellness programs, we're in food and beverages, we're in beauty, we're in, pharmacy, green pharmacy especially. And yeah, so it's very e-commerce, social commerce. It's very, it's a wide range of sectors. So obviously our projections and our business plan is going to take longer to do, you know, compared to my friend, because I also introduced my friend to an investor, someone in my mom's network, and they also, offered him like a really good deal. But for him, he had got, again, that's why I'm telling you, industry specific training is so important, because my friend went and he got the deal in the first meeting. Guess what? Because he had done an accelerator program as a CFO. I don't know if you've had that term.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yes. Yeah, CFO with URS. So he had local training. Yeah. And then he also did another one with a continental investor, but the continental investor, but they are from an international background. So for him, he nailed it. And also his product offering are only 3. So it's easier to kind of do projections for something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, then he also has 10 years experience in transport. You get, so like, yeah, it taught me a lot. The investors gave us so much insight. So we're now even building a better product. I feel like by the time your book comes out, it's going to
Yeah.
be, so yes. Then again, you see,
That's
like,
really
as
cool.
asking, yes, as asking new people, like the potential customers, what are your problems? This is, yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
that's
learned
really
all
cool.
of that. Yeah, I learned all of that from Rutico and the investors.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. I like mostly what I'm interested in is the fact that, of course, I'm glad that so many people are going to hear this, because even I myself, I'm in that process of developing. It
Ah,
took me a long
nice.
time to get to the point where I was like,
Yes.
okay, this is the product I want. This is how I want
Yes.
it to be. But I
Yeah.
haven't really gotten, like, it took me, oh my God, I would go to someone and talk to them about it. And the person would be like, I don't get it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why don't you get it? I'll be so personal. I'll be like, you just don't understand. You just
Yeah.
hating or something like that. And my husband would be
Mm.
like, hey, just take the the feedback. Just take
They
the
won't
feedback and use it.
understand.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah.
for me, I didn't even do that like through courses. Like through like actual courses. I was doing it on
Ah.
YouTube. I was doing it online. There's this thing
Ah.
called there's a course thing where you like pay. A friend of a former workmate of mine was paying for it, like a monthly payment, and so I
Okay.
took courses on her thing, and I literally like pulled
Ah,
out my book and
nice.
started like writing, how do you
Nice.
do this,
Yeah.
how do you do this,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
still trying to learn. That's why I'm like, you know what, because I was so much into my head. You know, when you're doing everything on your own and you're running
Yeah.
this thing
Yeah.
alone.
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
tried to reach out to specific people. I'm like, hey, let's do this together. But people are busy. And since it's virtual, like
Mm.
we're far away from each
Mm.
other, it becomes a little
Mm.
bit harder for you to like plan. So I was like, okay, I need to do this alone. But to do this, I need like, I have like a million books. Each of them has something that I have to do on. So I
Yeah.
go on YouTube, I go this as, but then I was like, all these things are just ideas in theory. I need to start something because people are telling me it's not possible. It's not a viable product, like you were saying. Like,
Mm.
it's
Mm.
not a viable product
Mm.
because someone is like, yeah,
Mm.
that's not going to work. I'm like, a friend of mine works for the UN and she's like, Rusty, not even the UN has been able to develop something like this. Who are you? I'm like, well, I'm going to show you that I can do this.
Oh my God, people do
Yes,
that. Yes.
exactly. But then that's like it becomes when you share your idea, sometimes it can make you feel like, okay, I shouldn't share because I don't want criticism. But then there are times when you share and these people's feedback or their not understanding of your product helps you to get to that point. Well, someone is in a boot camp like you and they're learning all these things through a teacher. For me, I'm learning it
Mm.
through experience, through calling a friend
Mm.
or an uncle. And I'm like, I'm just in my network. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. And the person is like, no one is going to invest in that company. I'm like, okay, why do you think so? Of course, it's
Yeah, yeah,
personal.
yeah.
You're like, Sha, what do you
Yes.
think? Who do you think you are?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for such a process, I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I need to start. From a spiritual perspective, for me, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what? If you keep your things in your head, then they'll stay in your head. You need to put it
That's
out there
true.
so you see how people react to it. So I was like, you know what?
Mm.
I've been talking so much about this podcast thing and I just need to start. I literally started when I had no idea. Like, I'm like, okay, I need to record. How do I edit this? How do I do this? And I'm like, now that I've started the podcast, the more I'm doing this, the more I'm getting confident in what I want because my idea is to build like you. I think your thing is going to be like a service platform, right?
Both. It's going to be service, but we also want to get into doing sustainable and wellness FMCG, fast moving consumer goods in all the different
Yes,
categories.
definitely, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
so
So
it's
you
a
can
bit of
like you can
both.
holistically, yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So you can
yes.
holistically. So for me, mostly it was like, okay, I want to start a platform for women. I have two ideas that I'm combining together, but the thing is, what's so confusing about is the fact that I was like, I don't have the experience. You know, I don't
Yeah.
have the experience. Who am I? And then I was like, I do have the experience. I am a woman, you know. I know what women go through, and I have friends who are women.
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
called together like a group of like I made like a focus group discussion virtually,
Yeah.
and I got
Yeah.
a name out of it. Like SheCentre came from a
Wow.
focus group discussion. I had
Ah,
so many
nice.
naming companies, and then I
Yes.
came up with a name, and I told people, what do you think? This is what I'm trying to build. What do you think? That is the best name to represent it. And through that, I
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
ideas from people who reinforced what I was thinking, because people were talking about
Mm.
inclusive,
Mm.
sustainability, and stuff like this. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, so you guys are actually reinforcing what I
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So through that, I understand, and I think this is like giving me like right now I'm like thinking in the
Yeah.
process of this
Mm.
conversation that there's
Mm.
probably someone out there, because what I was hoping is for you to share about your life, and this is
Yeah.
your life. There's probably someone out
Mm.
there who is listening, who is like, you know, mental health is it, in all aspects. Yeah, it covers a lot of things, and in
Yeah.
many cases I think the society we grow up in puts us in that space where you're like, no one is doing this. Even if there are
Mm.
people, like someone can sit there and
Yeah.
be like no one is doing this in Uganda. That's stuff for abroad.
Yes,
Literally, one
exactly.
person told
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
this web platform of yours is not going to work. Resty, this is Africa. It's East Africa. No one is going to do this. And
Yeah.
I'm like, how little do you think about people? This person
I
is living
know,
abroad,
right?
so clearly they
Yeah,
were
yeah.
thinking that people in like, because I was like, okay, someone was like, podcast, no one listens to podcasts, then you can teach them how to listen to podcasts, find a way to get them to
Exactly.
listen to podcasts. So I
Yes.
was like, okay, I need to make videos of, like, literally most of my, like, most constant listeners are older people who didn't even know what a podcast was.
Wow, that's
And because for them they found
interesting.
something,
Yeah.
because if you
Yeah.
already know what podcasts are, then you're going to have a lot of podcasts to listen to. But if you don't know anything,
Wow.
then I'm the one who taught you. That means every week you're going to focus on
Mm.
only mine. you know
Wow. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So through
Wow.
that I
Congrats.
have thanks, but through that I've not yet gotten there, man. We are really, like, people really
That
need to get to there.
process.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
So what I'm hearing is, for you, first of all, it came from, yes, I have a gift, I'm a creative,
Yeah.
I have a strong and supportive family. Those are the
Yeah.
things that are working for you. And then all you needed was to experience something for you to see it in a whole different light. Because you can be
Yeah, yeah.
creative, you can have a supportive
Yes.
mom, but how do you
Yes.
get to build a product? You have to
Yeah.
experience that. Like, yeah, Facebook came out of an antisocial person. you
Yes.
know
Exactly.
like,
Yes.
you have to be the consumer of your good. You have to be the
Mm.
first consumer. And in that way, it makes it a little bit easy for you to sell it. Because when you're telling
Yeah.
someone, I had a depression, the person is like,
Yeah.
tell me more about this. And then
Yes.
how did you get
Yeah.
out of it? How did you get out of
Yeah.
it? You had
Yeah.
someone telling you every day. So that makes sense when someone says, okay, you need community.
Yes.
You need people around you to support you and to
Yes,
do
yes,
all these
yes,
things
yes.
for you. So
Yes.
that's something that I didn't expect this conversation to go in this direction, but I'm really
Ah.
happy that you've talked about this, because I didn't know all this about you. I do know that
Ah.
you are a creator. I do
Okay.
know that I do know, like, when I see you posting about like the companies that you've started, I was like,
Yeah.
you don't know what someone is going through, you know?
Yeah. That's
You don't
true.
know what has led someone there. And that's why the
Yeah.
question, what happened to you, makes so much sense.
Mm,
That's why I'm exploring
mm.
it in the first year of this podcast, because it's
Nice.
easy for someone to be looking at you right now. You're mentioning money, 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 and
Yeah,
someone is
yeah.
like, Faith is just a show off. Why
Yes.
is she doing this?
Yeah, yeah.
Someone meets you in town doing something, and they're like,
Mm.
that one, life is easy for her, because she grew up
Yes.
with parents who
Oh
are well
my
off.
God, Rusty. Actually, there's a girl I stopped being friends with who used to
Yeah,
bully me and tell me all the time, I, you mean you also have problems, yet you're privileged? I can't even feel sorry for you,
exactly.
privileged girl. I stopped being her friend.
Exactly.
No, actually,
Exactly.
this is what happened. I didn't necessarily stop being her friend. I told her, uh, I don't appreciate how you speak to me. Can that change? Can you work on that? Because maybe it's coming from a bias that you have against me, or against, because she hates privileged people. You know, there are Ugandans who just, not only Ugandans, I've noticed it's an international thing. There are people who
It
hate,
is.
yeah, they judge you for being privileged. So she already
Yeah,
has
yeah.
that bias. Yeah, she had that bias against me. So I told her, can you stop speaking to me like that? Because it's actually hurtful to me, yeah? And I feel like it's going to destroy our relationship. I kid you not, Resty, this girl became meaner and chose to stop being my friend. Yet I even had told her, let's work on it so our relationship increases. I'm not kidding
Yeah.
you. That's what she chose to
Wow.
just become worse. And I was so shocked because I thought we were friends. Yeah.
No, some people are just not happy for you. Some
Yeah.
people like they just need to be stripped off of you so you can move forward.
Exactly. So I said
But
maybe it's a
yeah,
blessing in
that's
disguise.
it is because if you're
Yeah.
around someone who is always making you feel bad,
It's so
there are
nice.
people out there who feel bad for being rich, like
Yes.
for growing up with a lot
Yes.
of stuff, because they're
Yes.
like, what will my friends who don't have this stuff say and
Yes.
all
To
that
start
stuff. So
feeling
it's
guilty.
yeah. But
Yeah.
if you take all that stuff, like in the question, what happened to you? I'm looking at it from like what you've explained right now. You grew up because many people, you know, when the book, the question came from a book that I read from Oprah and a psychiatrist, yeah,
Yeah.
called Bruce Perry. And these people are exploring like what you go through in the initial years of your life greatly impact who you turn out to be, and also all these things that are happening to you, and also that even if you go through something, if you are in a trauma informed community, you can easily overcome. And what I'm hearing you say is that you grew up in a healthy environment. Yeah. You didn't experience, you did experience trauma with regards to how people were treating you being a twin.
Yeah.
But probably because of the fact that in your family, maybe they weren't treating you like that, you moved on to saying, okay, this is where I am. But it did hold
Yeah.
you back at some point, like you
Yeah.
said, because
Yeah.
you're like, yes, I
Definitely.
can't be like Hope, she's social, she's
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you got to a point where you're like, okay, now I'm alone, we are old, she's moved
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
I'm on my own, I
Yeah.
need to figure out
Yeah.
who I am. And
Yeah.
then you hit in a depression, and that depression,
Yes.
your parents, your mom who is trauma informed is like telling you,
Yeah.
write it down, do
Yeah.
this,
Yeah. Yeah.
pushing
Yeah.
you out of it.
Yeah.
And then because of that, it leads you into like your creativity booms, because you're like, okay,
Yes. Yes.
now it makes much more sense, and it
Yeah.
opens you up to who you are right now.
Exactly.
Someone who
Perfect.
is not exactly
Yeah.
someone who is
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
starting a company, but someone
Yeah.
who wants to help people like her.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Wow.
that's quite amazing, like when I see it in that way, because
Yeah.
in many cases you think of, okay, I was a twin, people have always made me suffer, this is who I am. But sometimes
Yeah.
you just sit down and you're like, what are they saying that could be true about this situation?
I know.
I
Yeah.
am an introvert, like you said. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to try to be more social,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because many people are like, yeah, I'm an introvert, that's how I am, just leave me, this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
me. But if someone says over and over again, you're the introvert, you're this, at some
Yeah.
point you're
Yeah.
like, maybe I can try to go out there, because I'm
Yes.
guessing the work that you're doing, like going after projects and stuff
Yes.
like this, you can't do this stuff if you're a person who is afraid to
Yeah,
speak to
you
people.
can't. You can't.
You have to be social.
You have to be
Yeah.
social. Yeah. Yeah. So they had, of course, there are some few things they're like, okay, you could be more, this and that. Because also I think I was really defensive as well. I might have been an introvert, but because people were judging me, I also
Yeah,
became
you, of
super
course.
defensive. Yes.
Yeah.
So I became super defensive. So I started learning, okay, I don't really need to be so defensive. Not everyone is trying to attack me. I could be more social. It's true. I
Yeah,
could
there's
be
some truth
more.
to criticism sometimes.
Exactly. I could be a little warmer. You start working on yourself. You're like, okay, I
Yeah.
realize, because everyone was telling me you're not a warm person. I'm like, oh my God, I don't mean to not be warm. Let me start working on that. You get it?
Yeah,
Like, oh, you're
that's
not
cool.
this. Yeah. So, yeah, you've explained
That's
it
really cool.
perfectly. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, because I've also had to go through. I'm going through the process.
You're also
um,
reserved.
no, I am hope.
Oh.
I am the hope.
Oh, you're not
I am the.
social.
I'm out there, but
Yeah.
I also sometimes it's also a limitation. You know, it's a limitation
Ah,
sometimes, because
how?
sometimes, like for instance, if you're friendly to everyone, you get to find out not everyone is your friend.
Ah, I get what
You
you
know,
mean.
you
Yeah,
get to
yeah.
find out. Wait, this person is actually not my friend, even if I thought they were my friend. So you get to a point where like right now, I would actually say I love being alone.
Wow.
I've found those introvert characters in me right now,
Yeah.
because when I'm in my home space alone, I'm like, because I think my husband is an introvert, like he loves like just to be alone
Ah,
and do his stuff,
yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, this guy does so much while I'm out there talking to people and socializing. For him, he's
Yeah.
like focusing within. So
Yes,
now I
yes,
am
yes.
learning. I started learning to go within and develop
Ah,
who I am, and not always be out there trying to help other people
yeah,
and trying
yeah,
to fix
yeah.
other people's problems. So it
Wow,
also
you
can
sound
be
like
too much.
Hope.
I
That is
am Hope.
exactly like Hope.
Yeah. So you're out
Yeah.
there, like every person who sends a message, yes, I have to help this person. But then later
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
you're like, man, people who are not like me are really doing so much. And me, I'm out there like
Mm.
burning all out, and I've done nothing for myself. So I also had to learn a lot from that. But it also came from other people being like, hey, man, you're too much. You're this and this. I'm like, what do you mean
Yeah.
I'm too much? Yeah. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
defensive. But then I was
Yeah.
like, actually, I think sometimes it's just good to just, state for yourself, so to yourself. So it's something that I'm learning, that criticism can sometimes also help you if you look at it from a
Yeah.
different perspective.
That's true. Mm.
Yeah.
That's true.
So yeah, I had written. Let me see. I wanted to ask about you you like starting a company, because my
Uh-huh.
platform is for women.
Ah, okay.
What are some of those challenges that you have encountered, mostly because you are a woman?
Um, so one is the most obvious one, because, like, for example, when I was doing Ponji Educare, that space of like animation, gaming, it's very male oriented. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, true.
So yeah, most of them are men. Most of the time, whenever I was designing projects, they would have like different consultants, yeah, and some of them were men. And in a lot of the cases where they picked my concept, like there's this project that I designed. Okay, if I mention the project, the people will know. For a really big company, yeah, and my concept was chosen as there's something called concept design, which means the look of how the whole project will look.
Idea, yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So they chose like my character design, my environment designs. Like they're just like, we want Faith's aesthetics. And the men were so insulted, right? They felt like they chose me because I'm a woman. It was so weird, yeah.
Wow,
But
wow.
that's not even the worst. When I went on Elemelu, my friends who are very close to me assured me because they didn't get it. They told me, you won
Because you are a
because you're a
woman.
woman. Auntie Tony Elemelu
Wow.
has this thing where it's 50-50, yeah?
Yes.
Unlike other people where women get only 5%.
That's like, even if you
Yeah.
were, but still you were chosen because amongst all the women, you are the most
Exactly.
creative.
Because I know so
So
many
does
women.
the fact that they chose other women, does it take away the fact that you are still creative?
Exactly, because I know so many women, even like my relatives, who applied for Tony Lemelu. They're
Yeah.
also women, and they did not get through, and they applied several times. Even my own
Wow.
friends, and they're also women. You get so as like
Yeah.
you people, like so a lot of credit has been taken away from me as a woman, to be honest. But also they are the usual ones. When you apply for
Yeah.
things, only 5% funding goes to women. You know, most of these, yes, most of
Yeah.
these funds are managed by men. And people usually, like someone told us, one of these entrepreneurs in Uganda, who I think is one of the most funded, he got like $30 million for his asset financing company. And he was telling us that people want to fund people who look closer to them. Most of the fund managers are men. You get what I mean? So they
Yeah.
trust other men. It sounds unfair, but that's how the world operates. You get? Because it's
Yeah.
an international
The
crisis.
patriarchy is real. It is. It
Yes,
is.
it is.
True.
Even the
Yeah.
Americans are complaining that women are only getting
Yeah.
5%. So, of course, I've faced that as well, you know. I think for Africa, it's even worse. It's just 3% of the funding
Wow.
goes to women. You get what I mean?
Wow.
But a lot of the funding things have started improving. Now they do 50-50 because we have 50% of the population. You get? So they've started
Yeah.
making it 50-50. It's improving slowly by slowly, but also if you see how many funds do that 50-50, there are not so many. There are very few
Yeah.
funds that do that. So yes, I've faced
That's
that whole global crisis of women being funded few, but also I've been undermined because I'm a woman. You get people are like, people feel like I don't deserve the credit, you know, that I get, because they're like, oh, they just picked you because you're a woman, you know.
and how
Someone
did you
even
overcome this?
how did I overcome this? I think I just started accepting, apart from being a woman, I also got a lot of shaming for being privileged, to be honest. People used to tell me, people used to be like, you don't even do anything. It's your parents who are doing for you things.
Things
You get
just
what I
come for
mean?
you. Yeah. People
Yes.
undermine your, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you kind of start looking down on yourself and thinking you're not good enough. Eh? People don't understand that such talk can be very negative.
Yeah.
You get it?
There's so
Yeah.
many privileged people who are not developing anything.
That's what I say. So, like all this, I overcame
Even
it
if your
by
parents are helping you, they're not going to start a company for
they
you.
will
So,
not. Yes. So I
yes, yeah.
accepted that first of all, yes, I am a woman, you know. Apart from being a woman, I'm African, and we also at disadvantage. Meanwhile, apart
Yeah.
from being an African, I am a Ugandan because 90% of the funding goes to 4 countries, which is Kenya, South
Yeah, I had
Africa,
Kenya.
Egypt, and Nigeria. Right?
Wow.
Then the other 5% goes to Ghana, Rwanda, Senegal, and Tunisia. Right?
Wow.
Then the other 5% goes to the rest of Africa. Imagine the rest.
So we are at
So
a disadvantage already. Being
yes,
women, being this.
you got that.
I didn't know being a Ugandan is that tough in Africa. You're like, well, I understand. Like, this is Africa. Okay, they will treat us equally. No, even still, they're choosing.
No.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
accepted that fact, and I accepted that people are going to always judge me and think my mom is doing for me something, like, oh, your parents are doing for you something. That's why I accepted that people are always going to judge me that I'm getting things because I'm a woman. Yeah, you get what I mean? Yeah. So they're just like, you know, you're getting it. So I'm like, okay, I've accepted that. That's my reality, and it's probably going to be my reality for some time. But I just have to prove that I can do this. Then I also accepted that being a Ugandan and a woman, I have to work, 20 times
Harder.
harder. You get?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
just said, it's okay. How can I stand out? Yeah, because Uganda is getting very little funding, but I literally know people from like the Tony Lemelu fraternity, and other different programs that have gone through whose companies have reached like $1 million. You get what I mean? So
Wow.
I'm like, yes, even with the bad funding that we have, why are these people getting money? They've worked 10 times harder. You get what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Because that
Yes,
can be a limitation that stops you from applying. Like, yeah, they
exactly.
won't give it to us anyway. But
Yeah.
there are people who have managed to get it.
There are people who are
So
managed to
who
get
what have
it.
these people done? Find out what they have
Exactly.
done and then
Yes.
do that or do
Yes.
better. Yeah, I like
Exactly.
that.
So I mean I mean not competition. What do they call it? I mean I've established some sort of relationship with these people. Yeah. So we're like colleagues, but who are like friendly. Yeah, because also that maybe loosely friends, but so friends, there's more to friendship.
Acquaintances or there's business
Yeah.
friendships. Like
Yes,
we are friends
exactly.
for business
Yes, exactly.
purposes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have established a relationship. I also pick their brains to hear what they're saying. You get
Yeah,
what I
that's a
mean?
good collaboration. Yeah. If you can't do
Yes.
something, find out why the others are doing it well and join them,
Yeah.
pick up from them and then do it and do it better.
Yes. Yes. And honestly, the
That's
one thing
cool.
I learned that they have in common, they work harder than the average person. Like they work so hard. They are so invested in, upskilling themselves. They are so invested in getting out. Like someone was telling me, Faith, it's time to start going for those entrepreneurship programs because, we have this bad mindset in Uganda that if they're not giving funding, I don't want it. You get it? Eh?
Yeah,
Yet,
yeah, yeah.
some of
That's
these
true.
people have met people who gave them, millions of
Yeah.
dollars from those
Networking.
events.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Networking. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
such networking events. So they told me, get out. Like, if there's a networking event in Nigeria, go for it. If there's one in, the countries that get funding, Kenya, go for that one. You'll be like, okay, here
Yeah,
I am.
yeah.
Rwanda
That's
also
true.
has a lot, yeah. So you're like, you go to Rwanda, you go to. So they told me, go for these, apply for them. Don't care if they're not giving you funding. Sometimes the funding comes from you networking with people there. You get it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, true. Someone
So
there,
they
oh, you
told
might
me.
learn something that might help you to win the next time.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So they gave me like a lot. They work hard. They concentrate on doing a lot of those. These upskilling programs. Like again, I told you in Uganda we have a bad mindset where people ignore things where they don't get money. Yeah. They're like, I don't want that training program. It doesn't even give me money. They feel like it's a waste of time. Eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, they were telling me you go for those programs, like obviously in a very calculated way and targeted. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not over also, investing in it, and your time for doing work is not there. So you go and you're like screen through them. You're like, okay, there's this one that will put me here, there's this one that will put me. Yeah. So like I've learned so much from those people. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool, and I like how you said it. It's like you have to accept that you are at a disadvantage
Yes.
and not fight it, but find a
Mm.
creative way around it. I think that comes with a lot of growth. Is Would you say that this is
Yeah.
something that has come from your psychological help? I don't know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
mentioned earlier that do you still do therapy like consistently, or you did
And
it
I
only
know
for a
I
specific
now
period of
do.
time?
I did it consistently. Like at the time, I was doing it like 3 times a week. I think for the first 4 months, then it keeps changing. Like for the first 3 months, I did it 3 times a week. Then it moved to, twice a week. Then it became once a week. Now it's more like the last time I had done it was 3 months ago. Then I did it last week. So the therapist now I'm seeing the therapist. I'm
Yeah,
managing on my own. I'm able to
yeah,
manage. So yes,
yeah,
it has also come with
yeah.
psychological growth. They say the last stage of healing is acceptance, and
Acceptance. Yeah,
yes, and
yeah.
I finally reached acceptance this February. I finally reached that stage. Resting, when people
Wow.
used to tell me you'll reach there, it just seemed like, mm-mm. No, you don't understand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, people were telling
That's
me.
true. That's true.
Yeah,
It takes a lot of work, I can
it
imagine.
does. It took a lot
What
of
kind
work.
of work would you like to share a little bit? What kind of work have you had to do to get to this acceptance stage?
Okay. Basically, obviously, I did the back and forth of like being hung up on the situation where you're just ruminating, where
It
you're just
becomes your
asking
god.
that why. Yes, you're in self pity, you're throwing pity
Victim
parties.
mentality.
Yes, victim mentality, a real drowning there. But the work that I had to do, I started getting out because I also realized like the fact that as an introvert, introverts actually suffer worse,
More. Yeah, mentally.
like mentally when you get into a depression because you're not, when
You
you're
have no
depressed, you need
one
to
to
be
share
out.
with.
Yes.
Yeah. And people
So
will just be like, that's how she is.
exactly. So I needed to come out. So the work that I did, I started making some more friends. However difficult it was because like I told you, Tony Lemelu, it's also like a lifetime community. So they had these training programs from ever since we won the grant. There've been so many training programs where they just want to push us to do better. Yeah. I even applied for another grant of theirs for alumni. Like it's a lifetime journey. So I was going for these programs. I started meeting people, like I told you, I applied for a few things. I started pushing myself. I'm like, yes, okay. Usually I'm reserved, but let me get out and say hi to people. Let me get out and be a little warmer, let me get out
Yeah.
and I started pushing myself. That's part of the work. Then also I got back into fitness because from the time I was young, I've loved sports. I was an athlete from the time I was like 5 or even younger. Yeah. So I went back into like doing gym.
Yeah. I had putting your mind onto something else really helps your mental health. Yeah.
Exactly. So I started
Yeah. Like
doing
sport.
gym. Yeah, I also started doing one of the things that I do like a lot is it's called venture building. Yeah. I've done it for a couple of people and even our family business together with my mom. I helped them raise like money in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in 2022. It's something I'm very passionate about. Yeah. I'm actually
What's this
starting to
about? Can you share
monetize.
about it?
Yeah, venture building is basically building a business, helping them get money, writing projections, allocating budgets and money. Basically, like literally building a venture, building the business, how to incorporate money. So I've done it for a few people, but I think the highlight of me was when I did it, for my family business, which was like in 2022. Yeah, before. before my depression just spiked, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
I started doing that. I was like, okay, let me start venture building. I've done it for people. Why can't I do it for my company as well? You know, that's when I put in like energy, and it's something that I love. I love building things. I love, you know. I like
That's
watching
really
them
cool.
grow. Yeah, so I started doing that. That's part of the work. Then, of course, talk therapy. I was doing physiotherapy. I was doing herbal medicine with a very known a green pharmacist. It's called Professor Agaba Julia. Yeah. And then I also went and did Chinese medicine. As just looking at healing from a 360 angle.
That's
Yeah.
interesting because you're describing your company.
Yes, I was doing that. Then I went. Then my friend Priscilla took me to like Faneru. You know, we're doing a lot of like prayer with Apostle Grace. Is such an amazing,
Yeah,
you know.
I love when you start talking about the Bible. I'm like, you guy, you studied the Bible.
Yes. So I
He's
started
really,
like,
really wise. Yeah.
yes, then we also got like a family, you know, pastor, and he's also really good at, you know, it was like
Yeah.
360 healing. So I was going to the gym, I was going for therapy, I was going for physiotherapy, I was doing talk therapy, I was also doing hypnosis, as just into, as on medication, by the way, I think for like
Yeah.
a whole year.
And
Yeah,
many people don't want to get, like, I think we are getting there because quite a
yeah,
number of people who are popular are speaking about mental health, but we are getting there. Is it
yeah.
because I know for your company that you're starting, is this something that you are willing to do to also educate people? Because that's
Yes,
like on SheCentre, that's like one of my goals, like to, there's a problem out here, we don't want to talk
yeah,
about it, can we
yeah, yeah, yeah,
can we,
yeah.
if you don't want, like, let's help you talk about it.
Yes, yes.
How do you address such and such
Yeah,
issues?
yeah,
Like you've
yeah,
just explained right now, this could be a blog. You're like, okay,
yeah,
how did this company, on the about page of your book, how did this
yeah,
start? This is what
yeah.
your founder went through. Now you
Yes,
understand that it came from within. It did
yeah,
not just come out of the air. Like, I'm not here to make money, I'm here to help
yeah.
you and to serve you as a user.
Exactly.
That's
Yes.
that's super, super
Yeah.
amazing. All the things that you're explaining, I've not really done many of them. In many
Yeah.
cases, like I do for me, I think being here, it kind of also has its own limitations and it also has advantages, of course. Like
Yeah.
back home, you'd have a network because you know you've grown up in this country. You know, I know
Yeah.
everyone,
Yeah.
I know everything, so it's easy for me to, like, right now call someone back home. Like, I reached out to you because we used to hang out when we were in school, so it's easy for me to have a whole network back home. But here, you're like, man, I don't have. But then I have a friend who I met in 2022 at the end. She was working at the company where we both were. And this girl was like, she had a company, she was starting another company. I'm like, how are you doing this in Germany? She's like, it's so
Wow.
easy. So it's through that
Wow.
network that I was like, wait a minute. So my mom lives here. My sister, I have so many relatives who don't have any company. I do have one cousin who started like a company. She was selling jewelry. But I'm like, so this girl educated me how easy it is to do stuff like this. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, we need to, like, so me and her started talking. We were working for this company, but we
Wow.
were talking the whole time about what we were going to start.
Wow.
Like, she was starting a company. I actually
Yeah.
had her on the podcast. She's called Talita.
Ah.
She's from Brazil. So from her experience, from where she's coming from and being in Germany, we connected, and we were both two people who were immigrants into this country, in this country, and we want to build something big to help people back home. But through
Wow.
that, we're able to network with each other and help each other. So I'm seeing it. She's seeing it from. I just started talking her like, I want to do this. No one else was getting it at the company because they're like, yeah,
Oh
oh,
my
you want to help your
God.
people
You
back
know,
home. But for her, she
when
was
it's
like, oh my God, I want to do this too, but I'm doing it in a different way. She's like,
yeah,
we
yeah.
need to collaborate, Resty.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
from
you
there,
need
we
to.
start helping each other.
Ah.
We started
So
like, I would call her, I talk about my thing, she talks
yeah.
about her thing. Eventually, we didn't end up like working together on her project, which she wanted, but we helped each other through that. And right now, I know I can always call her with regards to anything happening here because I'm here and this girl is posting. She has gone, because here there's like like these speakers, like, business speakers.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot happening, and I have never bought a ticket to go to attend any of them. And I'm
Wow.
seeing this girl posting. She's at a stadium. She's attending some talk from one of those like business entrepreneurs, and I'm like, Resty, you think you've tried everything? Clearly, you
I
have
know.
not.
Every
So
time you think you've tried,
it's easy
yeah.
to beef. It's easy to
Yes,
beef and
yeah,
be like,
yeah.
hey, this person's thing is off the ground, but that
Yeah.
person is doing more than you are doing. They're putting
That's
themselves
what I
out there.
said.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are putting
Oh my
themselves
God,
out
Rusty,
there,
your
and
whole experience, it sounds
yeah,
like my young sister's Pacific. I don't know if you know, but we
yeah,
have a young sister called
yeah.
Pacific.
I
She
know
also
her.
moved
Yeah,
to
I know.
Europe and she wants to start something,
Your
I
audio
think
is
I should
whatever.
connect. Sorry. I'm saying Pacific also, she went for her master's in Europe and
Where is she?
she's in Budapest, Hungary, but she
Ah,
keeps.
Czech Republic is not far from Munich.
Yes, so she keeps
Yeah.
moving, but she keeps moving. Like sometimes she's in Germany, sometimes she's in Sweden, sometimes she's like she loves traveling like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but she wants to start something in one of those countries. You get what I mean? She was even in Germany, but she didn't know where to start from. Maybe I think like talking to you would really help her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I can help her in any way I can. But yeah, this was a really good conversation, and then we're definitely going to take it away because I had your number and didn't even know you were an asset in my space.
Ah.
Because there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff like, see, you are already where I want to go. I want
Yeah.
to start our startup,
Yeah.
and I've been speaking to a lot of people. Not many of them have started it. They just have that an idea of how to help me. But
Okay.
in many cases, you have people who that are doing something that you want to do, but you
Yeah.
just say hi. I like your profile.
Yes.
I do
I
this,
know.
and you're like, it stops there until the time when you posted. Because I hadn't even actually thought about hosting you because you're
Yeah.
rarely on social media.
Yeah.
So like the first person that came to my mind was Hope, but then the other
Yeah.
day when you posted about the wellness thing
Good
and what people
wellness.
should like contribute to what you're building,
Yeah, yeah.
something was like, Resty, you should reach out to Hope. I mean, Faith. I was like, first of all, the most important reason why I wanted to reach out to you was mostly because I would really like to know her perspective with regards to
Yeah.
how she grew up and how she turned out
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be doing what she's doing right now. But now through our conversation, I'm getting to know so much more about you, which
Yeah.
makes me understand you better. Because
Yeah.
before that, I just knew, you know what, this is Hope and Faith. Hope is the
Yeah.
actually for me, it was never even that easy for me to identify you people in the way of Faith is the introverted one, and the other. In
Ah.
fact, I never saw it
Yeah.
in that way. I just always saw
Oh.
two people who look alike and do
Twins.
everything exactly. They do
Yeah.
everything together. And maybe
Yeah.
because I didn't go to school with you and didn't spend
Yeah.
that much time with you,
Yeah.
it wasn't easy for me to see that, oh, there is a
The
difference between
difference.
them. Exactly.
True,
I never
true.
saw the difference. But now
Ah.
that you're speaking, it makes so much more sense. I think the next time I meet both of you, it will be easy for me to identify Hope
Yeah.
and Faith.
Yeah. It really is actually. We are so different. Actually, people are
Yeah.
always so shocked because we look so alike, but they're like, wow, you people
Yeah.
are so different. Like I just
It's really hard.
yeah.
Psychologically, like right now,
Yeah.
I feel like when you talk, I feel like I'm talking to Hope.
Hey.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you are, it's really hard psychologically to see someone who looks and talks and
Yeah.
does everything, like even how you're talking with your hands,
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah,
do
we
it
are both
exactly like her.
animated. Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you're identical in that way, but then now I'm expected to see you in a different way. It needs me
Yeah.
to be around you for a really long time to see the
Yeah.
difference between the two of you,
That's
and
true.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
amazing. So thank you so much. Maybe you
Thank you
can, before we
too,
close up,
Rosie.
talk a little
Yeah.
bit about what Ponji Educare does,
Oh yeah.
and then
Yeah.
yeah, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, so the beginning of Ponji Educare, we were aspiring to bring very quality content on the African market because we realized that there's a lot of subpar, content for children. Yeah, but like I told you, my original concept, I tried to pitch it to investors. The product didn't, it was an educational streaming service. The concept didn't exist at that point. Yeah, so everyone was rejecting me, but also I didn't know how to build it from scratch even when I got the money. But as time went on, and I started using my skills, you kind of have to maintain your bills, as you build a startup. So I started doing like
Yeah.
animated content. I started doing like storybooks, which don't sell so well, but illustration and game design, asset design. That's where the money was coming from a lot. Yeah. So then I went through this depression, and Yubu Wellness was born. And while I was figuring out Yubu Wellness and building it, we've been building it for I think 6 months now. No, 7 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've been building it for 7 months, and finally, it hit me. I'm like, oh my God, like going through that Chirutico boot camp, I was like, I have to start thinking about this in the way I was thinking about Yubu Wellness. So we came up with a very good product, that we'll announce it as time goes by, but it's a product we've been working on. Yeah. And we've seen how to build the MVP, we've seen how to but it's Ponge Educare is it's an educational brand. Yeah. And our vision is to build content that teaches children in a new way that it's not necessarily in a new way, but it's in a more innovative way, because the learning models that exist right now leave out a lot of students. Yeah, they only concentrate on the really smart kids, or the ones.
Yes, true.
Yeah, then the one even smart. What does that mean? Because there are different types of smarts. There are some kids who are very creatively smart, but they're not.
I was just about to say, there are people who are doctors, there are creatives who are doing graphics.
Exactly. You get.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's not taken into context. So the vision is to build that, and right now in the background, we've found like a very good product market fit. Yeah, and we're working on it, but it's a creative educational brand. Let me even say not creative. Creative is a bit too wide. Innovative. Yeah.
Innovative. Yeah, I love that. And what would you like to say to any woman out there who is listening as we conclude?
Okay, I would like to tell women, because first of all, they say there are so many things that we go through as women, and they kind of accept it that that's I mean,
it.
that saying, you're a woman, that's what we go through.
The status quo.
Yes,
Accepting
but
the status quo,
yeah, accepting the status quo. But at the end of the day, I think we go through some hard stuff. Today, I was watching some startup that's doing a particular feature that we're also doing in Yubu Wellness, and it's about helping women. You see how there is no one to help us when we go through a lot of stuff. We go through like bad heartbreak. A lot of women go through like sexual assault. A lot, even if it's not penetration, it could be someone was groped in an inappropriate way. It traumatizes you. So a lot of women are broken. They say we are disproportionately more mentally, at a disadvantage compared to men. So I'm just like, we've gone through so much as women. Let's try to seek help. And one of the things that I'm trying to really push is to provide affordable help for women. You get what I mean? So I'm like, there's help coming. You no longer have to do it alone and be a strong woman. You're broken for the rest of your life, but you're a strong woman. Nah, there's nothing like that. Yes, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to be a strong woman. It's toxic. You get it? I mean, in that toxic way of that's what women go through. Be a strong. No, let's heal from those things, and also let's accept that as women we have it tougher than men. So we have to put in. Oh my God, like so much more work. That's the truth. We have to work harder than men to be.
And it's worth it. Yeah, and it's worth it at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom told me one thing, because she's so hardworking. Even my grandmother was so hardworking. I was raised by really strong, powerful women. And she told me one thing, like, because you know how, let's be honest, working hard can be overrated.
Yes,
you're just overworking hard. But she was like, yes, it's overrated, but you can never regret working hard. And I'm just like, wow, that's such a powerful statement. You know?
Yeah.
Yes. So it might be overrated, it might be this, but also the good thing about working hard is if you're focused enough, you can figure out a way to work smart. Most people who have figured out a way to work smart had to come from the working hard angle. You get what I mean?
Yeah, true.
So we have to work so hard. Let's, just accept it. Most times you won't be considered and you'll be disregarded. Mostly if men find you also a bit attractive, you're even worse off. Yeah, because people will just treat you like,
you're just a catch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, what does
true.
she have to say? You get. Things will happen, and work through it. Work through it, and let's also get out and start more companies. Interacting with so many women who have done a lot of things, I've realized that we bring a lot of we bring a different
Ideas.
perspective and
Perspective,
ideas.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
build new
That's true.
businesses, we solve problems that people have ignored for so long.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yes.
let's get into building those companies, you know? Yeah. We
True.
have
True.
something to contribute, yes.
Yeah, that's very true. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Touristy.
Yeah. Well, well, well. If you are someone like me who is into startups, what to do, how to navigate the whole industry, then I do believe that you learned so much from this. I would like you to follow us on social media because I will be tagging. You can also look in the description link below. I will be tagging Faith's companies. Look her up on LinkedIn. She's doing amazing work. You can reach out to her, I believe. I don't know. Faith can be able to, she can say no. You can try it. Try your best or try your luck. And yeah, thank you so much, Faith, for this empowering episode. You have really, really given me so much to think about. You've given me so much information, and I appreciate you for that and for your time. And to those who are listening, I do believe that if you are into business or you know someone who is into this kind of stuff, you will definitely need to forward this episode to them so that they can be able to learn from it. And yeah, let's go out there and start up companies that are going to change the world. And it always starts with you. Look at yourself, look at your life, and ask yourself, how can I change the situation that I'm in? Because that's where your purpose starts from. Until next time, same place. Love you all. Please help me spread the word by sharing our episodes with your friends, family, and followers. Let's amplify the voices of women, break barriers, challenge stereotypes, and create a network of support and empowerment. Together, we can bring about positive change and make this world a better place for all. This is SheCentre, the female podcast, where women's stories matter. I love you all. God bless.